got you. Here's the thing. Reason why Russia is at war with Ukraine, because the U.S. government got involved in his so-called affairs. Really not so-called affairs, in his affairs, because Ukraine and Russia are side by side. And the United Nations want the Ukraine to join the United Nations. And since the president said a threat on one is a threat on all, you go to war with one, you go to war with all of us in the United Nations. And so America is funding the Ukrainians to fight with Russia. And since Russian people are getting killed, who's to blame? You blame the United Nations and the West for supplying Ukraine to kill Russian soldiers also. It's the same thing. You cannot blame other nations supporting other nations when you're doing the same thing. And it's hypocritical for you to say that other nations are supplying other nations to fight against the United States and the United Kingdom when you're doing the same thing when Ukraine, supplying Ukraine with military arms, with weapons, and then when somebody else do it, you want to bring all that other, all that he's supporting war and killing of innocent people. But it's hypocritical when the United States is also involved supplying weapons to other countries so they can fight and kill other people. So where's the humanity on this? So another thing is that when Hamas went into the Israeli state, you got to think about it. How did they get in? Then they built a wall of protection and borders and patrolling them. What happened to the patrol? What happened to the satellite surveillance cameras that they put all around this perimeter? What happened to them? You got to think about it. It was a plan all the time. They had let the Hamas in and kidnapped 200 people. You mean those 200 people was all in one place? The Hamas just went in and kidnapped 200 people and just left undetected? Come on, world. Come on, people. Think about it. This was planned. So the Israelis could have an excuse to go to war with Hamas. But we don't see them fighting with Hamas, right? All we see is bombs flying, things blowing up. But we haven't seen no real engagement with Hamas and Israelis. All we see is pictures and footage, basically the same footage repeatedly in every journalist site talking about what the Israelis doing to Hamas. But they're not doing anything to Hamas. What they're doing, they had destroyed the Palestinian home sites, homeland, right? The whole Gaza is turned into rebel. And we haven't seen them going to any hospital and take any Hamas hostage from inside a tunnel, a tunnel hideaway or bunker, right? We haven't seen no footage of any Israeli capturing Hamas or soldier inside these tunnels, under hospitals, as they say, under residential buildings. All we see is soldiers in the battleground with no opposite side shooting at them. They're just walking around with their guns. But we don't see no actual battle back and forth with Hamas or anybody. So this is the thing. So that's why I don't believe what's really going on, because it's a one-sided war and one-sided coverage on the Israeli side. And all these people talking about this was going on. When they put a footage of the opposite side talking, the actual person in that footage is not talking. They talking for them. When you ever seen Hamas talking on the video that they said that they had put some other threats? We haven't seen any Hamas actually talking, threatening the Israelis or things like that. Or Iran, or Lebanon, or Hamas. All we see is the Israelis or journalists speaking in one-sided event. right? And the United States is the one that funded all these wars. And now the people over here in the States and all around the world are in turmoil, fighting each other. You got campuses fighting each other, college students, back and forth, people boycotting Jewish products, and things like that. People that are not involved in this are getting involved. Is going to create more conflict out here in the world. Another thing, the Middle East have no means of protecting themselves. They don't have the power because the West and the United Nations are together in this, and they're going to supply as much power and force and ammunition that Israeli needs to do their bidding. That's what happens once Israel continues bombing and the United States get in all that Middle Eastern area. All those, don't matter if it's Hamas, the Arabs, the Shiites, the Muslim, is going to turn the whole Middle East upside down. No rock is going to stand another rock. And once the United States claims, because it's going to have to claim it, because you just can't go over there, bombard and just leave, and leave Israel alone in that little region. Because there's always going to be conflict. So once you see the American flag there, you know it was a planned thing from the beginning, because the West and the United Nations needs resources, and where these resources are all in the Middle East. The Middle East has all the resources that the West and the European nations need. So that's the thing, people. The Arabs, the Muslims, the Shiite, the Hamas, Hezbollah, Yemen, they don't have no winning chance of fighting Israel, the United Nations, and the United States backing them up. The United States government is the leader of all these wars and the funder in all these wars, and the citizens' money in every country in the Ukraine, France, and all this money is going into the West government to support these wars. That's what it is. And they no matter how many protests you do, how many times you kneel, whatever you do out here as a civilian, it's not going to change the government's mind for a ceasefire or stop and put the diplomacy conversation so they could resolve their issues. It's not going to happen. America governments want war, and that's what they want, and that's what they're going to get, and that's what they're going to continue. So war is coming no matter what the citizens of the West wants or the United Nations countries want. So I say to the Middle East and everybody that's not involved, if you want to stop it, you better put more pressure on the government to stop these wars and to commit to peace and humanity. I thought democracy was Americans' policy and peace, tranquility. What happened to that? Now all it is, war is on their mind. War. Your money is going to kill other nations. For what? You're still going to be in turmoil because your government is oppressing you all the time. Because right now, the cost of living keeps on going up. And there's not enough money to keep on paying all these tabs that America has, all this debt. America and its citizens are going to be in debt for a very long time. And with that, if the Middle East don't get together and other nations don't get involved to stop the West and the United Nations, these wars are going to continue. You think about that. And with that, I let you go.